Michael Anderson was known across the country as a billionaire businessman. His face appeared on magazine covers, his name was whispered in boardrooms, and his company was one of the strongest in America. To the outside world, Michael seemed to have it all: wealth, power, respect, and a lifestyle that many people could only dream of. But behind the shine of his empire, Michael lived a life of distance. He spent most of his days in meetings, conferences, and on private jets, always rushing from one deal to another. His mansion in New York stood tall and grand, yet it was often empty. His wife, Jennifer, lived there with their daughter, Emma, while Michael traveled for business. Michael loved his family, but work had always taken the front seat. He convinced himself that he was doing it all for them, that every dollar he earned, every deal he signed, was for their comfort and future. Still, a quiet voice inside him often asked if money could really replace time spent together. It was on a cool autumn evening when everything began to change. Michael was supposed to be on a 3-day business trip in Chicago. Meetings had been planned, dinners had been arranged, and his assistants had filled his schedule tightly. But one of the major investors suddenly postponed their deal. For the first time in months, Michael found himself free. He could have stayed in Chicago and enjoyed the luxury hotel, but something tugged at him. Why not go home, he thought. It was unusual for him to come home early from a trip. Usually, Jennifer and Emma expected him late at night, tired, with a briefcase in hand and stories of boardrooms. But this time, he decided not to tell them. He wanted it to be a surprise. The drive back was quiet. The roads were painted with golden leaves, and the cool breeze touched his face through the half-open window. As he held the steering wheel, Michael found himself remembering his younger days before the billions, before the fame. Back then, he and Jennifer lived in a small apartment. They would cook simple dinners together, laugh at silly jokes, and dream about the future. Where did that time go, he whispered to himself. When Michael finally reached the long driveway of his mansion, the sky was turning dark. The lights inside the house were glowing warmly, and from a distance, it looked like a picture-perfect home. He parked his car quietly and walked toward the door with a smile. Inside, he imagined Jennifer in the living room, maybe reading one of her favorite books. Emma might be upstairs, busy with homework or listening to music. Michael's heart warmed at the thought of surprising them, of seeing their faces light up when they realized he had come home earlier than expected. But what he did not know was that this night would change everything. He stepped into the hallway, the polished floor reflecting the chandelier above. His footsteps were soft, almost hesitant. The house smelled faintly of freshly baked cookies, something Emma often tried when she was in the mood to experiment in the kitchen. Michael smiled at the thought of his daughter proudly offering him one of her not always perfect cookies. "Jennifer?" "Emma," he called gently, expecting an answer. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Michael walked into the living room. The television was on, but muted. A blanket was thrown across the couch, and there was a half-finished cup of tea on the side table. Signs of life, yet no one was there. His smile faded a little as confusion began to set in. Maybe they're upstairs, he thought. He climbed the staircase slowly, the air growing heavier with each step. When he reached Emma's room, he knocked lightly before pushing the door open. The room was neat, her books stacked on the desk, and her favorite stuffed animal resting on the bed. But Emma was not there. Now Michael felt a strange unease. He moved toward the master bedroom, his heart beating faster without reason. He turned the handle and pushed the door open. The sight before him froze him in place. Jennifer was sitting on the floor, her back against the bed, holding something tightly in her hands. Her shoulders were shaking, and her face was pale. Michael had never seen her like this before. She looked up at him with wide eyes, as though she had been caught in a storm and didn't know how to escape. "Michael," her voice cracked, both surprised and broken. Michael rushed to her side. "Jennifer, what happened? Are you okay? Where's Emma?" Jennifer didn't answer immediately. Instead, she slowly opened her hands, revealing a small piece of paper. It looked worn, as if it had been folded and unfolded many times. Michael took it from her trembling fingers. His eyes scanned the words, and each line felt like a blow to his chest. It wasn't what he had expected. It wasn't anything he could have imagined. It was a letter written by Emma. The words were simple but heavy with pain. Emma had written about feeling invisible, about missing her father, about wondering why he was always away. She had written about how silence filled the house when he wasn't home, and how sometimes she wished they could all just live like a normal family again. Michael's throat tightened as he read. His hands shook. His daughter had written down feelings she couldn't say out loud, and the sadness in her words pierced him more deeply than any business failure ever could. Jennifer wiped her tears and whispered, "I found it hidden in her drawer today. I didn't know how to tell you." Michael sank to the floor beside her. His mind raced with guilt, regret, and fear. All those years of chasing success, of believing he was doing everything for his family, was it really worth it, if his daughter felt abandoned in the process? The billionaire who could buy anything suddenly felt powerless. For the first time in a long time, Michael Anderson had no words, no plans, no answers. All he had was the painful truth written in his daughter's handwriting. And he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Michael sat on the floor of his bedroom, holding the letter in his hand like it was the most fragile thing in the world. The room around him felt heavy. For a man who made decisions worth millions every day, he had never felt so small, so lost. Jennifer sat quietly beside him, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. The silence between them was loud, filled with unspoken fears and regrets. Michael finally broke the stillness. "Where is she now?" he asked softly, his voice trembling. Jennifer took a deep breath. "She went to her friend's house earlier. She said she wanted to study there. I think she just needed some space. I didn't stop her because I didn't know what to say after reading this." Michael pressed the letter against his chest. His daughter's words echoed in his mind, "I feel invisible. I miss you. I just want us to be a family again." He felt his throat tighten. "Why didn't you tell me earlier, Jen? Why didn't you tell me she felt this way?" Jennifer turned her tear-streaked face toward him. "I tried, Michael. I told you so many times that Emma was lonely, that she needed you. But you were always busy. You always said, next week, after this deal, after this meeting. I didn't want to fight with you anymore. I thought maybe you'd realize on your own." Michael closed his eyes. He remembered the countless nights when Jennifer had called him during his trips, asking him to come home sooner, telling him Emma had cried herself to sleep. Each time, he had answered with promises that he would make it up to them, promises that work was only temporary. But those promises were still floating in the air, unfulfilled. The billionaire who commanded boardrooms now felt like a stranger in his own home. "I thought I was doing the right thing," he whispered. "I thought providing her with the best life would be enough. But I was wrong." Jennifer didn't say anything. Her silence was enough. Michael stood up slowly, his mind racing. I need to see her. I need to talk to Emma right now. Jennifer looked at him with concern. Michael, maybe wait until morning. She's with her friend. She needs space. But Michael shook his head. No. She doesn't need space, she needs her father. She needs to know I'm here. That I've been blind, but I see it now. Without waiting for another word, Michael grabbed his coat and keys. Jennifer followed him to the door, hesitant but understanding his urgency. The drive to Emma's friend's house was quiet, the city lights blurring past as Michael gripped the steering wheel tightly. His mind replayed memories, Emma's first steps, her giggles when he used to lift her onto his shoulders, her shy smile on her first day of school. And then he remembered the more recent times, her quiet goodbyes at the airport, her small wave when he returned late at night, her silence at the dinner table. He hadn't seen it then, but he saw it now. He had been slowly losing his daughter while chasing the world. When he arrived at the house, he parked outside and took a deep breath. He didn't want to scare Emma, but he couldn't wait. He rang the doorbell, and soon Emma's friend's mother opened the door. "Mr. Anderson," she said, surprised to see him. "Emma is here. Do you want me to call her?" Michael nodded. His chest tightened as he waited. Moments later, Emma appeared at the doorway. She looked surprised, her eyes wide. "Dad? What are you doing here? I thought you were in Chicago." Michael bent down to her level, his eyes filled with emotion. "I came home early, sweetheart. And I read your letter." Emma froze. Color rushed to her cheeks. You read it?" "Yes," Michael said softly. "And I'm sorry, Emma. I didn't know how much you were hurting. I thought I was doing everything for you and Mom, but I see now that I wasn't really here. Not the way you needed me to be." Emma looked down at her shoes, her hands fidgeting. "You're always busy, Dad. You're never home. Everyone at school talks about their fathers helping them with projects, or taking them to the park. And I just tell them you're busy. But it hurts. I just want you here." Her voice cracked, and tears filled her eyes. Michael's heart shattered. He reached out and pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. "I'm so sorry, Emma. I've missed so much, and I can't change the past. But I promise you, I will change now. I will be here for you. No more excuses, no more broken promises." Emma clung to him, her small arms tightening around his shoulders. For the first time in years, Michael felt like a father again, not a businessman, not a billionaire, but simply a dad. After a few moments, Michael looked at her. "Come home with me, sweetheart. Mom is waiting. We need to talk together, as a family." Emma wiped her eyes and nodded. She trusted him, even if her heart carried scars from years of disappointment. The ride home was quiet, but this time the silence felt different. Emma leaned against Michael's shoulder, something she hadn't done in a long time. Michael drove slowly, as though savoring each moment with her. When they reached the mansion, Jennifer was waiting at the door. She rushed forward, hugging Emma tightly. The three of them stood there, holding onto one another in the doorway, the grand house suddenly feeling more like a real home. That night, they sat together in the living room. No television, no phones, no distractions, just the three of them. Michael listened as Emma shared her feelings, her loneliness, her wishes. He didn't interrupt, didn't defend himself. For once, he simply listened. Jennifer spoke too, telling Michael how hard it had been to watch Emma grow up with a father who was more of a shadow than a presence. Her words were painful, but Michael knew he needed to hear them. By the end of the night, Michael felt a shift deep inside him. He realized that his empire, his billions, his success, none of it mattered if he lost the love of his family. As Emma leaned against him, falling asleep on the couch, Michael whispered to Jennifer, "I'm done living like a stranger in my own home. Tomorrow, I'll start changing things. No more empty promises." Jennifer looked at him, searching for the truth in his eyes. For the first time in years, she believed him. The billionaire had finally come home, not just to the mansion, but to his family's hearts. But Michael knew this was only the beginning. Earning back their trust would take time. And deep down, he wondered, had he already lost too much to ever make it right? The next morning, Michael woke before sunrise. The mansion was quiet, the soft morning light streaming through the large windows. For the first time in years, he felt a strange mix of peace and urgency. Peace because he was home, surrounded by Jennifer and Emma. Urgency because he knew that rebuilding trust would not be easy. He quietly went to the kitchen. Jennifer was already there, preparing breakfast, a gentle hum escaping her lips. Michael watched her for a moment, noticing the familiar way she moved, the way her hair fell softly around her face, and how she always seemed to care for everyone around her. He felt a pang of regret for all the mornings he had missed. Jennifer looked up and smiled, though there was a hint of caution in her eyes. "Good morning, Michael," she said. "Good morning," he replied, his voice softer than usual. "Can I help?" Jennifer shook her head. "No, you just sit. Emma will be down soon." Michael sat at the table, sipping coffee quietly, lost in thought. He knew that showing up was only the first step. The real challenge would be proving to Emma that he could be present, that he could prioritize her and their family over work. He had always thought that money could make up for absence, but now he understood that love and attention mattered more than any luxury. Soon, Emma appeared, yawning and rubbing her eyes. She wore her favorite pajamas and carried a small blanket around her shoulders, a habit she still had from childhood. Michael's heart softened at the sight. "Good morning, Dad," she said softly, unsure of how to greet him after the emotional night they had shared. "Good morning, sweetheart," Michael replied, smiling warmly. "Did you sleep well?" Emma nodded, though her eyes betrayed a mix of emotions: relief, hope, and lingering sadness. They ate breakfast together, a simple meal of pancakes and fruit. The conversation was light, filled with small jokes and laughter that felt almost new. But underneath, Michael was paying attention to every detail, learning more about his daughter in those quiet moments than he had in years. After breakfast, Michael went to his office in the mansion. He had a busy day ahead, with several virtual meetings and calls scheduled. But as he opened his laptop, he paused. The emails piled up, the messages from business partners and investors demanding attention, but Michael didn't feel the same pull as before. He thought of Emma's letter again and realized that these business matters could wait. The opportunity to connect with his family could not. He closed the laptop and went back to the living room. Emma was sitting on the carpet, drawing pictures with crayons, her tongue peeking out in concentration. Michael sat beside her, picking up a crayon. "What are you drawing?" he asked. Emma held up her picture. It was a simple drawing of their house, with 3 stick figures in the yard, smiling. Michael felt a lump in his throat. "It's beautiful," he said sincerely. "Look at that, we're all together." Emma smiled shyly. I wanted to draw us happy. Like we used to be. Michael hugged her gently. We will be, Emma. I promise. I'm going to make sure we spend more time together. No more missing mornings or dinners. I want to be here, really here. For the rest of the day, Michael stayed home, interacting with Emma and Jennifer, helping with small chores, and even playing board games with his daughter. It was unusual for him to step away from work, but the warmth of their presence felt more rewarding than any business deal. As evening approached, Michael received a call from one of his top executives. The voice on the other end was urgent, discussing a major investment opportunity that could bring millions to the company. Michael listened politely, nodding in understanding, but he made a decision that surprised even him. Thank you for letting me know, he said calmly. But I'll have to review this tomorrow. Right now, I'm with my family. The executive hesitated. Michael, this is a huge opportunity, I understand, Michael interrupted gently but firmly. But family comes first. I'll handle this tomorrow. Please make sure nothing critical is missed, but I need to be here tonight. After ending the call, Michael felt a sense of liberation. For years, he had allowed his work to control every moment of his life. Now, he realized that setting boundaries didn't weaken him, it made him stronger in ways he hadn't imagined. Jennifer watched him from the couch, her heart swelling with hope. I see the change already, she said softly. You're here, fully. That's all that matters. Michael smiled, a mixture of gratitude and determination in his eyes. I have a lot to make up for. And I know it won't be easy. But I'm ready to try. Later that evening, Michael decided to take Emma out for a walk in the nearby park. It had been a long time since he had spent time outdoors with her, just walking and talking. They strolled through the golden autumn leaves, Michael listening carefully as Emma shared stories about school, her friends, and even small worries she had kept to herself. At one point, Emma stopped and looked up at him. Dad, will you really be around more? Even after work? Michael knelt down to her level. Yes, Emma. I can't promise that I'll never be busy, but I can promise that I'll always make time for you and Mom. We're a family, and that's the most important thing. Emma's eyes brightened with tears, but this time they were tears of hope. She hugged him tightly. I've missed this, Dad. I've missed you. I've missed you too, Michael whispered. More than I can ever explain. As they walked back to the mansion, Michael felt a shift inside him. He realized that his daughter's letter had not just been a cry for attention, it had been a wake-up call. He had been living in a bubble of wealth and success, forgetting the people who mattered most. That night, after tucking Emma into bed, Michael and Jennifer sat together in the living room, sipping tea. The house was calm, the night quiet, but Michael's mind was busy with thoughts. He knew that change would not happen overnight, and that regaining Emma's trust would take time and consistent effort. Jennifer reached for his hand. I believe you, Michael. Just don't let work pull you away again. Emma needs you, and so do I. Michael squeezed her hand gently. I won't, Jen. This time, I mean it. We're going to rebuild our family, step by step. The billionaire had spent years chasing deals, status, and wealth. But tonight, he had discovered something far more valuable, the priceless bond of family, the feeling of being needed, and the power of presence. As he looked at Jennifer and thought of Emma asleep upstairs, Michael felt a determination he had never known before. No boardroom could give him the satisfaction, No contract could match this joy. He had a chance to rewrite his story not as a man defined by his wealth, but as a father and husband who truly mattered to his family. And deep inside, Michael knew that while the road ahead would have challenges, he was ready to face them. Because this time, he was not chasing success alone. He was chasing it with the people he loved most by his side. And for the first time in many years, Michael Anderson felt truly rich. The next few days felt like a new beginning for Michael, Jennifer, and Emma. Michael made a conscious effort to be present, to take part in even the smallest moments of their daily lives. He cooked breakfast, helped Emma with her homework, and spent evenings just talking and laughing with Jennifer. Yet, Michael knew that habits formed over years could not disappear overnight. There were still moments when his old instincts, checking emails, reviewing deals, tempted him. One afternoon, a call from his company disrupted the peaceful morning. The voice on the other end sounded urgent. "Michael, we have a critical situation. One of our largest projects is at risk. If we don't handle it immediately, we could lose millions." Michael closed his eyes and exhaled slowly. For a moment, the old panic surged inside him. He thought about contracts, investors, deadlines, but then he glanced at Emma drawing quietly at the table and Jennifer smiling softly. The scene reminded him of what truly mattered. "I understand," he said carefully. "But I cannot discuss this now. I'll handle it after dinner. Please inform the team that I'm unavailable." The voice hesitated. "Sir, this is serious." "Are you sure?" Michael's gaze hardened with resolve. "Yes, I'm sure. Family comes first." After ending the call, he leaned back in his chair, feeling a mixture of relief and worry. He knew that choosing family over work could have consequences, but he also realized that ignoring his daughter's feelings again was a price he would never pay. Later that evening, Michael took Emma to her dance class. She had started ballet a few months ago, and though he had missed her first lessons, he was determined to be there now. Watching her move gracefully across the floor, Michael felt a sense of pride he hadn't experienced in years. After class, they walked home under a sky painted in shades of pink and orange. Emma chatted about her day, her friends, and the small joys she discovered. Michael listened attentively, making notes of little details he would never forget. When they returned home, Jennifer was waiting on the porch. "How was ballet?" she asked. "Great!" Emma exclaimed, her eyes shining. "Dad watched the whole class today." Jennifer smiled at Michael, her expression softening. "I'm proud of you, Michael. Really proud." That night, after Emma went to bed, Michael and Jennifer sat together in the living room. The air was calm, but Michael could feel tension beneath it. He knew that balancing work and family would not be simple. There would be pressures, temptations, and moments when he would feel pulled back into the old routine. Just as he was about to relax, his phone rang. It was the CEO of a rival company. Michael answered, listening carefully as the conversation unfolded. The other man spoke of a deal that could impact Michael's company significantly. A decision needed to be made immediately, or the opportunity would vanish. Michael felt his heart race. This was the kind of high-stakes situation he had spent his life thriving in. For a moment, he imagined how quickly he could resolve it, making calls, signing agreements, expanding his empire. But then he looked at Jennifer. He remembered the tears in Emma's letter, the hug he had shared with his daughter just days ago, and the simple joy of being home. Michael took a deep breath. "I appreciate the call," he said calmly. "But I cannot make this decision tonight. I will review it tomorrow morning." Please proceed carefully, but do not act without my direction. The CEO hesitated. Are you sure, Michael? This could cost. Michael interrupted, his voice firm yet gentle. I'm sure. I'm with my family right now. That is more important than any deal. After ending the call, Michael placed his phone on the table and closed his eyes. The adrenaline that usually defined his life had shifted. He felt calm, strong, and strangely proud of himself. For the first time, he realized that his power didn't just lie in money or influence, it lay in the choices he made for the people he loved. The following morning, Michael awoke to a quiet house. Emma was still asleep, and Jennifer was in the kitchen preparing breakfast. Michael noticed something different today, an eagerness to start the day not with work, but with his family. He joined Jennifer at the table. I've been thinking, he said, about how we can make every day count. Not just weekends, not just holidays. Real time, together. I want to be part of your lives, every day. Jennifer's eyes glistened. That would mean so much to Emma. And to me. Michael smiled. I know it won't be easy, but I'm ready. I want us to have dinners, homework sessions, walks, and small traditions. Emma deserves that. We all do. Emma arrived shortly after, excited for breakfast. She noticed Michael's presence immediately and ran to hug him. Dad. Can we make pancakes together? Absolutely, he replied, laughing. Let's make the best pancakes ever. They cooked together, spilling flour on the counter and laughing at their clumsy attempts. The house felt alive, warm, and full of love. For Michael, these moments were more valuable than any boardroom victory or financial gain. Yet, as the day progressed, a shadow of doubt crept into Michael's mind. What if the company suffered because of his absence? What if opportunities slipped away while he focused on family? He couldn't ignore the responsibilities that had defined him for decades. Jennifer noticed his worry. Michael, I know you're thinking about work. But for now, let it wait. This time, we are what matters. Michael nodded. You're right. I'm learning that it's not about ignoring work, it's about choosing priorities. The real challenge came that evening when Michael received news that a major investor was visiting the city unexpectedly. They demanded an immediate meeting, something that could affect millions in potential investments. Michael felt the familiar pressure rising. He considered leaving the house, calling Emma's babysitter, and attending the meeting as usual. But he looked around the living room, Emma playing quietly, Jennifer watching her with a smile, and he made a choice that would define him. No, he said aloud, more to himself than anyone else. I will not miss this evening. He picked up a board game and called Emma. How about a game night? Emma's eyes lit up. Yes. Can we play my favorite game? Jennifer smiled. You're really doing it, Michael. You're here, fully. They played games, laughed, and shared stories long into the night. Michael realized that presence was not just about being physically there, it was about truly engaging, about valuing moments that could never be replaced. By the time Emma went to bed, she hugged Michael tightly. I love you, Dad, she whispered. I love you too, sweetheart, Michael replied. More than anything. Later, as he and Jennifer sat quietly, Michael reflected on the day. He knew that challenges would continue, that the demands of his empire would not disappear. But he also knew that the love of his family was worth every sacrifice, every tough decision. Michael realized that true wealth was not measured in numbers on a balance sheet, but in smiles, hugs, and moments of connection. And for the first time, he felt that he was learning how to balance both worlds: his responsibilities and the people he loved. The billionaire had faced his greatest challenge not in a boardroom, but in his own heart. And he was beginning to succeed in ways that no deal or contract could ever achieve. As Michael looked out the window at the starry night sky, he promised himself silently, he would never let work overshadow his family again. No matter what obstacles came, he would fight to remain present, patient, and loving. He had been given a second chance, and he would not waste it. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, Michael Anderson was truly home. The following week felt different for Michael, Jennifer, and Emma. Michael had made a promise to himself and to his family that he would be fully present. But he knew promises alone were not enough. Actions mattered more than words, and he was determined to show, rather than tell, his love and commitment. The morning started like any other, with Emma running into Michael's arms as he walked into the kitchen. "Good morning, Dad," she exclaimed, excitement shining in her eyes. "Good morning, sweetheart," Michael replied, hugging her tightly. "Ready for breakfast?" Emma nodded enthusiastically. Jennifer watched them, a smile on her face. Michael noticed the little things: the way Emma's hair glinted in the sunlight, the way Jennifer's eyes softened as she looked at her daughter. These small moments reminded him of what truly mattered, far more than any boardroom victory or financial success. After breakfast, Michael and Jennifer sat down to discuss the company's urgent matters. Unlike before, Michael felt confident. He had put systems in place so that he could make decisions without being present every minute. His employees were competent, and he trusted them to handle things responsibly. This balance allowed him to focus on his family while still managing his empire. Jennifer was impressed. "You've really thought this through," she said. Michael nodded. "I have to. I can't let work take over again. But I also can't ignore it completely. It's about balance, and I want to do it right this time." Emma came running into the room. "Dad, can we go to the park today? Please." Michael smiled. "Of course, Emma. Let's go have some fun." They spent the afternoon at the nearby park. Michael pushed Emma on the swings, laughed with her as she ran across the playground, and even joined in a small game of catch. Passers-by watched with curiosity, seeing the billionaire enjoying such ordinary yet beautiful moments. Michael didn't care. He felt alive in a way money or fame had never given him. As they walked back home, Emma held Michael's hand tightly. "Dad, thank you for being here. I missed this." "I missed it too," Michael said softly. "And I promise, I'm not going anywhere." That evening, a new challenge arrived in the form of a business crisis. One of Michael's major investors called with concerns about a sudden market change. Normally, he would have flown immediately to handle it in person. But tonight, he made a choice, one that would define his life. He turned to Jennifer. "I'm not leaving tonight. I'll handle this from home. I need to be here." Jennifer's eyes softened with relief. "I'm proud of you, Michael. You're putting your family first, truly." Michael took a deep breath and called his executives. Using video conferencing, he calmly explained the plan, giving clear instructions. Despite the urgency, he did not feel the panic he would have in the past. He was still leading effectively, but this time, he did it without abandoning his family. Emma peeked into the office. "Are you done yet, Dad?" Michael smiled. "Almost, sweetheart. Just a few more minutes, then I'm all yours." After finishing the call, Michael joined Jennifer and Emma in the living room. They played a new board game Emma had brought, laughing until tears ran down their faces. Michael realized that this happiness, this connection, was worth more than any deal, any business victory, or any title. Later that night, Michael and Jennifer sat on the balcony, looking at the stars. The city lights sparkled in the distance, but the quiet moments at home felt brighter than any skyline. Jennifer leaned her head on Michael's shoulder. "I can see the change in you, Michael. Emma can feel it too." This is what she needed. Michael smiled softly. "I know I've been gone too long. But I won't let the years we lost define the future. I want to be here, every day. No excuses." Jennifer looked into his eyes, searching for honesty, and found it. She reached for his hand. "I believe you. I truly do." The next morning, Michael woke early and found Emma still asleep. He watched her quietly, remembering the letter she had written, the sadness she had carried, and the longing in her eyes. He felt a mix of guilt and gratitude: guilt for the years he had missed, and gratitude that he had a chance to change now. Emma woke shortly after, rubbing her eyes. "Good morning, Dad." "Good morning, sweetheart," Michael said, lifting her onto his shoulders. "Ready for a special breakfast?" Emma giggled. "Yes." "Pancakes again?" Michael laughed. "Of course. But this time, we'll make them together." They cooked, made a mess, and laughed. Jennifer joined in too, and the house was alive with joy. For Michael, this was true wealth: the laughter, the connection, the moments of togetherness. As the day went on, Michael received messages from business partners congratulating him on recent successes. He realized that even when choosing family over work at crucial moments, he was still capable of leading effectively. The empire he had built did not require him to sacrifice love and presence anymore. That evening, the family sat together in the living room, reflecting on the week. Emma looked at her father with shining eyes. "Dad, I'm so happy you're here. I feel like we're a real family again." Michael pulled her close. "We are, Emma. We will always be. And I'll keep proving it to you every day." Jennifer smiled at both of them, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. "I think this is the start of something beautiful," she said softly. Michael nodded, holding both Jennifer's and Emma's hands. "Yes. We've been given a second chance. And I promise, we'll make the most of it." The next morning, Michael woke with a sense of purpose. He knew challenges would still come: unexpected business crises, long meetings, and pressures that could test him. But he was ready. He had learned that success without family was empty. Love, presence, and commitment were the true measures of a meaningful life. He went to Emma's room and found her awake, reading quietly. "Good morning, sweetheart," he said. Emma looked up, smiling. "Good morning, Dad. Can we go to the park today again?" Michael laughed. "Absolutely. Let's make it the best day ever." Jennifer watched them from the doorway, her heart full. The house was no longer just a mansion filled with luxury: it was a home filled with warmth, love, and laughter. Michael had faced the greatest challenge of his life: not a business deal, not an investment, but the challenge of being present, of reconnecting, of truly loving his family. And he had succeeded. As night fell, the three of them sat together on the couch, wrapped in blankets. Emma rested her head on Michael's shoulder, Jennifer held his hand, and for the first time, Michael felt complete. He realized that happiness was not in the numbers on a bank statement or the titles in a company. Happiness was here, in these small, ordinary moments that would stay in their hearts forever. Michael had come home early, and what he saw had changed everything, not just the house, but the way he lived, the way he loved, and the way he would spend every day from now on. He smiled, looking at Jennifer and Emma. The billionaire had finally discovered the true treasure of his life, family. And in that moment, Michael Anderson knew that he was exactly where he was meant to be.